Good morning, everyone. This is Susan Powell coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas. I want to welcome you all and invite you into our spiritual community of hope, courage, and compassion. Now take a deep breath and release it as we ready our hearts and minds to enter into this precious space, to embrace agape love. We light this candle to begin our service. As we begin today, I've been asked to deliver or sort of guide you in a brief meditation to reset our minds. Don't worry, you don't need to be a well-practiced person in meditation or, frankly, even fully embrace it. But let's take this time together, thinking of yourself in the beginning. First, let's focus on our breathing. So if you've ever been through meditation before, that's the very first thing we have to do. Slowly breathe in through your nose to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 3. And then exhale through your mouth to a count of 4. And again, in through your nose. Hold. Out through your mouth. Excellent. One more time. In. Hold. And slowly release the air through your mouth. Next, and let's try to keep that breathing pattern going. Just call up feelings of well wishes, compassion, or love. Just your own personal feelings of that. What does it feel like when you're feeling love, when you're feeling compassionate, either received or that you're giving to someone? And quietly recall what it literally feels like to show compassion, to receive well wishes, to be loved. Does it feel warm all over? Where in your body do you feel the change? Excellent. Now that you've identified what it feels like and where in your body you feel the change, choose a person in your life that you know to be suffering at the moment in any way. Could be physical, emotional, financial, anything. Someone you know to be suffering at the moment, and direct that loving glow that you found inside of yourself towards that person. And now, with all of that power, imagine blanketing all of the people and all of the animals with those feelings. We all, every one of us, possess the ability to show compassion and to love ourselves and others. And in doing so, we all have the power to make the world a better place. We all have the power to make the world a better place. By opening our hearts, opening our minds, and sharing fellowship with those we meet along the way, we can light the world, and we can, importantly, stoke that light in others. May we all have strength. May we all find peace. May we all be free from suffering. May we all feel love. May we all be happy. May we all feel connected. May we all be healthy. May we all be safe. May we all accept ourselves as we were, as we are, and others as they are. And may we all accept things as they are. May we all live our life with ease. May we all be free. And now imagine those feelings in your heart rippling out to all beings and rippling back to you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Ignatowski. And before I get started, I want to issue a disclaimer and a guarantee. Today's service is brought to you entirely by living, breathing human beings, and not one word of this service was written by ChatGPT. So now, faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. This is a quote from Corinthians that was commonly used in marriage ceremonies. You probably have heard some version of this before. However, there's a problem with translating this from the original Greek that it was written in. See, the Greek language has multiple words for different emotions that we all just translate into the English word love. And this is common for many languages. It's said that Sanskrit has 96 words for love, ancient Persian 80, Greek has 3 to 7, depending on how you translate things. In English, only 1. And as examples of what these different emotions are, that have different words in different languages, think about the love of a parent for their child. That's one type of love. Or a strong bond between close friends. Or romantic love, which is what we think of when we usually hear this reading in marriage ceremonies. But the original Greek used the word, which was agape, the love for all mankind. This agape love is an unconditional and universal love that is given without expecting anything in return. We're familiar with this idea, but unfortunately, it gets little attention in our culture. There's no poems written about it. There's no great mythical stories we tell our children. Most of our stories deal with personal conflict or conflict between tribes. Perhaps some fiction, even science fiction, is close with the sacrifice for the greater good. But even this is often told in the setting of conflict between good and bad tribes. I was reminded of this issue of agape last year when it came up during a discussion of Martin Luther King's birthday. Martin Luther King considered agape love to be a major motivation factor in his life's work. He discussed the concept of agape in many of his speeches and lectures, and here's a short example of that.
People ask me about it all the time. So what do you mean when you tell us to love these people who are beating on us and bombing our houses and kicking our children around? What in the world do you mean when you say love such people? And I always have to stop and try to define the meaning of love in this area. And interestingly enough, Greek philosophy comes to our aid at this point. There are 3 words in the Greek language for love. One of them is the word eros. Now, eros is a sort of aesthetic love. Philosopher Plato talks about it a great deal in his dialogues, the yearning of the soul for the realm of the divine. thus to mean a sort of romantic love. And so we all know about Eros. We experienced it. We read about it in the beauties of literature. In a sense, Edgar Allan Poe was talking about Eros when he talked about his beautiful Annabel Lee with a love surrounded by the halo of eternity. Then the Greek language talks about phileo, which is another level of love. It is an intimate affection between personal friends. On this level, we love because we are loved. We love people that we like. This is friendship. Then the Greek language has another word called agape. Agape is more than romantic love. Agape is more than friendship. Agape is not something of fiction. Agape is understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill for all men. It is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. Theologians would say that it is the love of God operating in the human heart. And when one rises to love on this level, he loves men not because he likes them, but he loves every man because God loves him.
Thanks. Let me clarify this a little by giving other examples of people expressing agape love. And these are examples that people use to illustrate this better. They include the Good Samaritan. According to the Gospels, Jesus told this parable in hopes that those who hear it would understand the true meaning of charity, unconditional love, and the commandment to love thy neighbor. Another example is the Dalai Lama. His mission in life is to try and inspire others to live a life of selfless love towards all living things. He teaches that compassion is the purpose of life and should be the source of all energy you produce and actions you take. Another example is Jane Goodall. She's dedicated almost 79 years of her life to making the lives of chimpanzees better. She has shown them unconditional love and selflessly given everything she has to provide love and comfort while sacrificing her own comfort in the process. Jane has also spent a great deal of her time inspiring and expressing love for this beautiful earth that we live on. She has educated thousands, even millions, about showing love to this earth and making it a better place. And finally, Mr. Rogers. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister who taught lessons of love, compassion, and selflessness to children through his television show, which ran almost 900 episodes. It was always about how to reach one more child to teach them how special they were and that they could change the world around them with kindness. Let's consider how this idea of universal love for all humankind plays into our religious world. In the UU7 principles, the sixth principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. That's pretty radical. And it's followed by the seventh principle, the respect for interdependent web of all existence of which we are part. These certainly speak to the idea of a more universal type of love. Now, how does this play into our values for the Open Hearts and Mind Fellowship? When we were putting together these values last year, I considered including the word agape, but we wanted to keep things clear and clean, and agape would require explanation for many people, so we left it out. But the concepts clearly cover it. These include, we work for the common good and nurture our global community. We believe in the potential for good of every person. We are part of something much bigger than ourselves and recognize the miracles of everyday life. I thought this pretty much covers the key concept of agape love. Agape includes the love of our family, community, of friends, including this fellowship. Agape includes the love of country. To me, this was always embodied in the song, "This Land is Your Land." Unfortunately, it has too often become the love of my political tribe instead, with the lack of a love of country. Agape implies being part of something bigger than yourself. To embrace agape love, We need to broaden our vision of the love of all of humankind. But we can take this a step further. It can be the love for the entire living ecosystem that gave birth to humans, as well as multiple other intelligent species, I might add. This is the love of life on Earth, that 3.5 billion year journey that gave birth to humanity, nourished us during our precarious formative centuries, and continues to sustain us. Let's talk about some of the implications. Agape implies compassion for immigrants. This is the century of mass migration. This is a hot button emotional issue for me personally. My grandparents were immigrants, and we are all descendants of immigrants. And I'm always on the lookout for what we can do with regards to this. What else? There's the international effort on climate change, supporting the World Health Organization, and the need to strengthen it significantly in the coming years. After all, COVID-19 was a test run for what may come. We are working on an Open Hearts and Mind Fellowship plan to help fellow members of our human family who are living in challenging circumstances in other countries. Basically, acknowledging that we are citizens of the world and that often our charitable donations can do much more good in other areas of the world than in the United States. Understanding what we can do for the recent earthquake victims, Turkey and Syria, are examples that are under consideration here. This is what the principle of effective altruism is doing the most good with your contributions. Just as we, on a personal level, have strong bonds of love for our children and grandchildren, the larger picture of agape also implies a strong love for future generations to come, which gets us back into being a pro-future religion, just something I touched on in a previous Sunday service. Agape is working towards one common family of humanity, living in a cooperative, peaceful society that provides everyone with secure and meaningful life. On a personal level, I often think as I face retirement, that one thing to dedicate some of my remaining time towards is a grand goal, one of reducing the chances of social collapse and the suffering that would result. This can range from working on climate change causes to peace causes. Not that I'll personally be able to direct the future, but I can add my hands to the many others working on this and contribute what I can. I can't think of a more meaningful way for me personally to express agape love. Now, there's even a philosophical stance or perhaps a religious stance called agapism. Agapism is the belief in selfless, charitable love, spiritual love, love from the soul. It can mean belief that such love should be the sole ultimate value that all other values are derived from, or that the sole moral imperative is to love. Theological versions of agapism hold that our love of God is expressed by loving each other. As an ethical principle, agapism indicates that we should do the most loving thing in each situation, letting love determine our obligation rather than a set of rules. I want to end with the following piece of advice I was given. When my father was dying about 4 years ago, one of my brothers shared with the family the following piece of advice he was given. I'll share it with you, provided that you also find a way to pass it on and share it with others. When faced with a difficult emotional situation in life or a question you cannot seem to answer, consider asking yourself the following question. What is love asking me to do in this situation? What is love asking me to do in this situation? In the spirit of this love, let's hear from a special song, Bob Marley's One Love compilation by Playing for Change.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was That was incredible. I loved it. And I think the song just wrapped it up so beautifully. Thank you so much for sharing. Sorry, my phone fell over. As we begin to wrap up our ceremony service today, maybe it was a ceremony of love. I do want to just take a moment to recognize that this is our blessed community of hope and courage and compassion. And that as we just heard Mike wrap up so beautifully, we're sending love out to all souls. Now let's take a deep breath and release it as we are readying our hearts and minds to go out into the world and spread love and kindness. Before we do that, we're going to, before we move into joys and concerns, I'm sorry, with the fabulous Miss Joan Denson, let's just take a moment to hear from our very own Mr. David Lawrence.
Good morning. I'd like to take a moment to update everyone regarding this year's stewardship campaign. Just like NPR and PBS, we're trying to minimize the length of our fundraising drive to just 1 month. And we've chosen the shortest month of the year. Since kicking off the drive 2 weeks ago, we've made good progress towards reaching our goal of $20,900. And so far, we've received commitments from 45% of our members and a few friends. With a little over 2 weeks remaining, we're counting on everyone to do what they can to ensure the success of our plans and to expand the Sunday services, increase community outreach, and our charitable involvement in 2023. At the close of today's service, I'll be resending our campaign notice, including the link to the pledge form. As a reminder, this is only a commitment for the board's use in finalizing our budget planning for 2023. No money is required at this time, and if your financial status changes during the year, simply notify Dagmar of your plans. Thanks in advance for making this what I know will be another successful stewardship drive for Open Hearts and Minds Fellowship. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, David. I guess it's now time for us to turn it over to our tour guide for Joys and Concerns. Joan Denson, are you ready to take over?
I am. Thank you.